Also, waking up on a Monday, we are still well within hurricane season, and we are tracking Gabrielle, finally earning its sea legs and starting to strengthen. In fact, now it is officially a hurricane. And today is a critical time frame for the storm. We're expecting it to rapidly intensify before it throws on the brakes and starts to weaken. The good news is no threat to land. Love when you can track a storm,
Right.
Geek out, enjoy the science, but know that no one is going to be harmed.
Exactly. I mean, having peak hurricane season, I mean, we're still in the thralls of it. It may not be September 10th, but I don't think we crawl out of peak hurricane season until mid-October at this point.
Yeah.
And so to have another recurve, a swing and a miss, if you will, in the tropics is great news. Gabrielle, we were waiting for it to become a hurricane over the weekend. We thought it might have been earlier into the morning. It took a little bit longer, but now still Category 1, 90-mile-per-hour winds. Signs are it could be up to a Category 3 at its peak intensity, which is also a change from where we were sitting at 24 hours ago.
Yeah, and looking at the overall Atlantic Basin, we have Gabrielle, but then we have these two other hot spots. So when you look at the map, especially if you go to National Hurricane Center or Fox Weather, you just see this map and you're like, wow, that got aggressive quickly.
Yeah.
And this is what it looks like to come out of the lull. So many hurricane seasons, we have a stretch of time where not a lot happens, and then all of a sudden, it ends, and that's the spot that we're at. So for Gabrielle, the next 24 hours will be very interesting because, again, marked by the National Hurricane Center overnight discussion, we're expecting this to rapidly intensify. So a big jump up in the winds. We're going to go from 90 to possibly over 111, again, making it a Cat 3 eventually. But this is going to pass safely to the east of Bermuda. Then, as it continues to move forward, we get into cool water very quickly. So we're going to go from rapidly intensifying to rapidly weakening.
Exactly. Yeah, and there also could be some level of extratropical transition here.
Yeah, I mean, the Azores should watch this for sure. The
Definitely.
timing is the end of the week.
Right, and what's actually really interesting is we've seen this so many times this hurricane season where we've had Dexter that even strengthened and maintained its strength as at least a tropical storm in the intensity of the winds all the way across the central North Atlantic towards the Azores because of that pressure gradient force that was helping to kind of keep it with the intense winds. So who knows, the Azores, this could certainly be an issue, but you know, for the United States, it's so great to be able to say that we haven't had the storm of the year, and who knows, maybe we can keep kicking that can down the road and we don't have it.
We certainly would love that, and it is a possibility. In regards to Gabrielle, I think the intensity jump that we're going to see is going to be notable, especially considering that we have wind shear.
Yeah.
We have a moderate amount of wind shear against this system, but the truth is when you have water temperatures in the upper 80s, the pathway is marked. There's no way that we're not going to see this dramatically intensify over the next 24 hours. There's a look at the confidence just to sort of give you that breath of okay. I think you can tell people this is going to be safely to the east of Bermuda, but you still get uncomfortable. Again, even with the size of the storm, we're really just talking about a wave situation for Bermuda. The swell, of course, is going to be something that will impact them not only today, but throughout the remainder of this week. So if you are doing vacations in Bermuda, it's going to impact the water conditions.
Yeah, I mean, that's really going to be the gist of it. We could see some gusty winds on the order of, 40, 45 miles per hour. The tropical storm force winds extend about 150 miles from the center. And so with this passing, a good 100, 150 off to the east, that would put you just on that outdoor corridor to see a few gusty winds. And then maybe a couple bands of rain going through, but very manageable for a spot like Bermuda. They fortify themselves from start to finish.
Absolutely.
To be able to take on a direct hit from a Category 1, even a Category 2 hurricane. So to see the fringe effects from something like Gabrielle is just something that they know, they nod to, but it's not going to be incredibly impactful for the island.
Yeah, so another one to mark off the list with limited issue. We'll take it.
Yeah, the next question is, all right, where's the H?
How do we do with other ones?
Right. Is it coming? Is it not? And, this is a new look, having that other 30% chance for something to develop. It's a different kind of tropical entity that's kind of rolling in through the central Atlantic at this point. Now, the 60% area to watch is something we've been tracking for probably 5 or so days.
Yeah.
That was the wave that moved off the coast of Africa. But we did always have a little bit of convection leading that storm. So it'll be kind of interesting to see which one takes the lead. And it's really one or the other. It's not, they're both going to develop. And at this point, especially with the NHC confidence, it does seem like our long-standing wave will probably have the best chance at this.
Which you would prefer that because, of course, the second hot spot is positioned farther to the south. Now, with that said, even if we don't get development from our second hot spot, we still will have unsettled weather. I mean, you're talking about a tropical wave that will be crossing over the Lesser Antilles and right over Hispaniola. That's Haiti and the Dominican Republic. So innately, that's going to increase the shower and thunderstorm activity. It'll be a little breezy, a little gusty, not pristine weather if you have a vacation in a lot of these spots or if you're lucky enough to have family members that live there. So, you know, it's something to keep an eye on, but I agree with you. And of course, the National Hurricane Center does as well, that we do have a higher potential here for that tropical wave.
Yeah, the wave has just been dealing with some of the dust and the other area kind of preceding it. Still has some dust, but not necessarily in the thick blanket of it all. And so as this 60% chance area to watch kind of moves further out to the west, it will emerge in a more favorable environment. So, you know, in the short term, maybe it doesn't look as good, but when you take a bigger picture.
And sometimes these leading ones are like the scrubber effect.
Right.
You know, it cleanses the atmosphere, gets rid of some of that dust, so the more substantial wave can come in and take advantage of a more pristine environment.
Yeah, it can also add a little extra moisture in the area, a little moisture slug that potentially this other area could capitalize on. The good news is just based upon the overall track, the second area where we're in this medium chance for development, that has a much higher chance of being a bigger recurve and following a very similar path to what we're tracking right now with Gabrielle versus this storm a little bit closer to home would have a better chance at scraping up closer to the United States coast. Nonetheless, even if you look at the tropical threat model that we have here, it takes into account the GFS, the Euro, Google AI. It's all pointing to this medium, I would say number 2, if we're going to put numbers to it. I feel like we almost need to at this point.
Yeah.
Like, how do I differentiate?
Once you get into the peak of hurricane season, it helps to sort of number the tropical waves for sure. But, you know, this is a product that's exclusive to Fox Weather. You're only going to see it being part of the Fox Weather family, of course, being part of our FBN viewership as well. And, you know, it shows you that confidence of seeing at least a tropical depression form, and that means all the computer models are in agreement. I will say, looking at the long-range computer models, it's definitely showing more action over the next several weeks, so I think there's a lot more confidence to the fact that the lull, it's behind us. The question is, do we get lucky enough to keep the systems that will inevitably pop up between now and the end of hurricane season offshore? Because sometimes that happens, and that'd be great. But, you know, it's going to be a long 6-week hole here that we have to sort of watch everything very closely to see how close any of these possible threats could get to us.
Right, and that's just how the tropics goes. You have these quiet periods, but as a meteorologist, you're always on the edge of your seat wondering, okay, I know the other shoe's going to drop at some point. This is that moment where we're leaning more into activity. At this point, no immediate threats to the U.S. coast, but we can't completely rule it out with either of these areas to watch. And so, as always, we'll keep you up to date on the latest developments there.